We might now know the name of the new companion joining the Doctor and Ruby in Season 2 of the new Doctor Who, played by Varada Sethu. We might now know her name, her character name, and also, by a bit of deductive reasoning, possibly when she's from. Hi, I'm Phil, welcome to my channel where I like to talk about all the geeky pop culture I like, including things like Red Dwarf and the MCU and of course Doctor Who, and we're talking about some kind of news, slightly rumours. I'm going to give a warning up front here because this is information coming from location filming that people outside the general public have posted on Twitter from seeing or specifically hearing at location filming. So if you are someone who only likes to hear the official release news, this is your chance to get off the video, because I won't put the answer to this in the thumbnail, I won't spoil it in the thumbnail or in the title of the video, but from this point on, it's not officially released news, it's something that's been overheard at location filming. So if you don't want that sort of stuff, I bid you farewell. But for those of you still here, let's talk about what was overheard at some location filming. There's a debate whether or not we should talk about stuff seen at location filming, but I think the fact is people are going to talk about it and it's going to be out there on Twitter. I am fully in support of not putting it just out there where everybody can see it straight away, because there will be people that don't want to see it, and hopefully the way I'm presenting the information here is careful enough so that those people don't have to see it. But chances are they've probably seen it on Twitter elsewhere. And that is that the Twitter account Doctor Who Filming Locations, a Twitter account that often goes to filming locations and, you know, sees what they can see and sees what they can hear, apparently overheard the name that could be Varada Sethu's character name. In fact, they are almost sure it is, because they'd heard it at a previous filming location and at this location. And at this location, the only actor apparently on set was Varada. And in this instance, according to their tweet, it was said while the shot was being set up. So chances are this is her character's name. And I think that means, based on what the name is, I think it might mean something about where she comes from. And some other people on Twitter seem to agree with this as well. So, without further ado, the name, if you haven't heard it already, is Belinda. Now, Belinda, as several people have pointed out, this isn't just my own thought. I thought it, but so did many other people. Belinda is not a particularly modern name. It's not a name you often... I'm not saying there are no young people, there are no people under a certain, under 50. I personally would be surprised to hear somebody under 50 having the name Belinda, but it doesn't mean that it's a bad name for anybody under that age. It's just that it's an unusual name for anybody that is particularly young. And Varada herself is in her 30s, so we'd expect the character to be around about that age. Could be late 20s, but probably around her own age in her 30s. So, it's an unusual name for someone her age. But what it wouldn't be an unusual name for is somebody her age from the 1950s. And so far, the only set location shots we've got with Varada in it has been in very 1950s-esque costumes. So I think the name combined with those costumes, and we haven't seen her anywhere else yet in location filming, I think there's a very, very high chance, I kind of was hoping this anyway, but a very high chance now that she is from the 1950s. And I am here for it, because I am a little bit bored of modern day companions. And look, I get why they do it. They do it because Russell T Davies in particular has this thing, especially with his first era, about there needing to be a sort of audience insert character that we can all relate to. And the only way he feels we can really relate to them is if they are from the modern day and facing some of the, modern day issues that we have ourselves. And I appreciate that. I respect that opinion, but I don't think And it was definitely the right choice for Rose, for instance. And it was probably the right choice for Millie as well, because we're starting a whole new era, hoping to introduce a whole new lot of audience to the show. So it makes sense for both of those. But I do think he got a bit too wedded to it. I don't think every companion needs that. When you're doing a sort of relaunch of the show, it makes sense. But I think it would have been nice in his original era to deviate from that a bit more. Kind of did with Captain Jack, and later on, Moffat kind of did with Nardole. Nardole was an alien, but he wasn't the main companion. He was a sort of secondary companion, as was Jack. So to have sort of someone who is framed as like a main companion, I think would be, that's not from present day Earth, would be good. And we haven't had, both Jack and Nardole are from the future. We haven't had a companion from the past, really, unless you're counting the second Clara before the third Clara who became the permanent Clara. You know, Governess Clara from the Snowmen. But she was, you know, only there for one episode, and it was as kind of a red herring, making us think she's going to be the companion, but then she dies at the end, and it's a different version of Clara that ends up being the companion, surprisingly one from modern day. So that was the closest we've got to a historical companion before. And I think it's something the show has really been missing. In the classic series, we got lots of historical companions, and I think that there's something the modern show has been missing. I'm really interested to see what they do with it in this context. You've got the added stuff that we haven't really had from the modern series of a companion seeing our modern day and how they react to that. And that there's stuff to play with there. That could be interesting, especially if you've got a modern companion in Millie alongside them as well. I think there's some interesting stuff to do there. So I am excited for this. I hope this name, I mean, we could all be wrong. It could be that there's just a modern day character called Belinda. This could not even be the name. Maybe it's just pure coincidence that they heard this name shouted in two scenes where Varada Sethu's character was, and in the second one she was the only character on set. It's unlikely that that's coincidence, but maybe. So take everything with a little bit of a pinch of salt, but if this does turn out to be true, let me know what you think about this. Are you happy to have a companion from the 1950s? We don't also, another bit of variety we could have, we don't know that this is a English set 1950s episode. It could very well be an American set 1950s episode. In fact, the costumes, to me, do look a bit US 1950s. They look a little bit Grease, you know? Grease is the word. That kind of era. So maybe she's also going to be American. Who knows? Exciting. We've got a long way to wait to find out. I mean, they'll probably tell us before then. But this is for season 2. We haven't even seen season 1 yet. So, yeah, long way to go. And if you were a bit confused about me talking about them being alongside Millie, there was the revelation quite recently by Russell T Davies that her and Millie are going to be alongside each other as companions, and it's not one replacing the other. You can see my video all about that right here. Thanks for watching. I'll see you soon, and goodbye.